Northwest Politics. The Challengers. A Democrat announces she'll go up against Congressman Bentz. I sit down with businesswoman Dawn Rasmussen to find out why she thinks she can win in Oregon's only red congressional district. Plus, a Republican announces she's entering the race for Oregon governor and looking to unseat Democrat Tina Kotek. Marion County Commissioner Danielle Bethelong running for Oregon's highest office in these polarizing times. Plus, voices of opposition. One Democrat and one Republican in Salem vote against their party on the transportation bill. The power of standing alone in this week's Give Me a Minute. Eye on Northwest Politics starts now. Thanks for joining us. This is Eye on Northwest Politics. I'm Ken Boddy. Let's get right to your top political headlines. The Oregon Legislature's special session now on pause until September 17th. That says Senate Democrats wait for a critical vote on a transportation package. Democrat Chris Gorsuch of Gresham is unavailable because of complications from back surgery, and they need his vote. The bill has already passed the House. Oregon U.S. Senator Ron Wyden was among those on the attack as Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. testified on Capitol Hill Thursday. Wyden and others clashed with Kennedy over the firing of a CDC director and his COVID policies. Senator Wyden said Kennedy stacked the deck of a vaccine advisory committee by replacing scientists with conspiracy theorists. And Hawaii joined Oregon, Washington, and California in a public health partnership aimed at preserving access to vaccines. Governor Tina Kotek was among the leaders who formed the West Coast Health Alliance. It will issue joint vaccine advice based on science and expert groups. The Department of Health and Human Services criticized the move, though, saying in part, Democratic-run states used draconian methods during the COVID era and completely eroded the public's trust in public health agencies. Oregon has just one Republican in the state's congressional delegation. Congressman Bentz of Ontario represents Oregon Congressional District 2, one of the largest in the nation in terms of land area. The district is mostly rural, encompassing most of eastern and southern Oregon. Congressman Bentz has represented Congressional District 2 since 2021. And Democrat Dawn Rasmussen of the Dalles hopes to change that situation. A businesswoman and professional resume writer, Rasmussen has served on the boards of the North Wasco County School District, the Dalles Farmers Market, and the Dalles Museum. She's also the lead administrator for the Columbia Gorge Wildfire and Information page. Dawn Rasmussen, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
Well, Congressional District 2, it's the only solid Republican district in the state. In 2024, voters chose President Trump with about 62% of the vote there. Congressman Bentz won his 2024 re-election with 64%. What makes you think that a Democrat can hope to win here?
Well, Ken, I'm not running so much of as a Democrat, but actually as an Oregonian who's very concerned about what's going on. And so basically, I'm seeing how Cliff Bentz is not representing the people. He's part of an administration making it more difficult for people to live and pursue the American dream as a direct result of his participation in writing and passing of the One Big Bad bill authored by the Trump administration. And so when we look at how this legislation in particular is cutting social and safety nets like Medicaid, the resulting closures of rural hospitals, which are going to force Oregonians to make heartbreaking health decisions on an emergency basis, rigging the system for billionaires and corporations through tax cuts for the wealthy and raising the taxes on the poorest 20% of the population. And then even here, I'm seeing this a lot myself as an admin on the fire page, but, we've seen a lot of withholding of critical wildfire resources resulting in mega fires. And you talk to any farmer, they're feeling like the deck is stacked against them. Farmers and ranchers are suffering from tariffs and the evaporation of labor and export markets. So when you look at the big picture, Bentz is directly hurting Oregonians. And I just decided that it's time someone stood up. And I look at it this way. I am not a career politician. I'm an ordinary Oregonian who's working hard, paying my bills. But that doesn't mean I don't don't have experience. I've kept up with politics, I've volunteered for campaigns, and I deeply believe in community service. That it really, Oregon and its communities are made up of neighbors. So the more we work closely as neighbors, we work towards communities, and that builds the state of Oregon. And so I really feel strongly that, basically Cliff Bentz isn't helping out anybody. He's aiming basically a loaded time bomb directly at CD2, which is Oregon's poorest.
Let me
I'm sure he's not a bad guy.
let me interrupt you right there, because we're going to get into some of those
Sure.
topics throughout the course of this conversation. But we did have Congressman
Sure.
Bentz on this show shortly after Congress did pass the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill. This is what he said, and this was after some town halls where he got heat from a few of his constituents. Take a listen to this.
There's some incredible benefits for people in this bill, not the least of which is the no tax on tips provision, the no tax on overtime provision, the reduced taxes on Social Security benefits. The benefits in this bill, what Democrats have chosen to do is focus on the Medicaid changes, which I support.
How do you respond to that, and how do you assess the impact of the bill in District 2?
Well, we're looking at a lot of problems. When you cut Medicaid and when you have a district that is the Oregon's poorest, then you're going to have a large population that are not being covered by health insurance. And a lot of the rural health centers and hospitals actually have to have those Medicaid payments to keep in business. It's just, so we were seeing the Oregon Nurses Association a couple of weeks ago had an open town hall, which Cliff Bentz didn't show up to. And they basically were saying that Madras is going to lose their hospital because of this bill. So when you have a situation that Oregonians are, instead of having an immediate care within 10 to 15 minutes, they're going to have to go all the way to Bend or Portland or, that's not how a society operates. You need to have the safe health care nearby versus trying to, rush there. And a lot of people don't have helicopter insurance for life flights, or they can't afford the bill. So what are you going to do when you have someone who's having a heart attack or a major situation that's life or death and healthcare is too far away? That's scary.
Yeah, let's talk about another issue here. Border Czar
Sure.
Tom Homan again said he's, quote, flooding the zone in sanctuary cities regarding illegal immigration. He mentioned Portland, of course, but there are sanctuary cities and counties in District 2, including the city of Hood River, near where you live. So what's your take on the administration's crackdown on sanctuary cities?
Well, I think it's a fair assumption to say that our immigration system is broken. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. And certainly we don't want illegal immigrants here, but anybody on U.S. soil has the right to due process. And I think that's being overlooked when you get, the ICE folks scooping people up based on their color of skin. Randomly, we've seen so many examples of people being scooped up that are actually American citizens, but they were targeted because of their color of skin. So I think that, cities are trying to do something to protect their population. And we're talking about a lot of immigrants. Yes, we need to find a pathway to citizenship. These people have been paying taxes. Most of them are not criminals. There's a lot of misinformation out there to scare people about people of color. And that is absolutely wrong. You think about how many people are here and they're supporting our farmers through labor. We're talking about the hospitality industry. I mean, you look everywhere, there's immigrants. My family was an immigrant too at some point, probably 3 generations ago. So it's a complex issue. I don't know that we found the right path yet, but I do believe that we need to try to find a way to fix the immigration system, to give the people already here a pathway. Obviously, we want to deport the true criminals, but most people are not. They're decent, hardworking people, and they definitely are trying to build a better life for their families.
And
so that's where we're going.
And in your district, that's the case. Agriculture is a big part of CD2.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We've got.
I can tell you a story about a cherry farmer that their fruit rotted on the tree because they didn't have enough people to come and pick them. So the farmer's taking a loss. They're actually ripping out their cherry orchard to put in grazing because they just lost money on the cherry crop because it rotted.
Dawn, we've only got about a minute left, but I do want to get to this because this is an issue that you deal with. We've had some big wildfires in the state this year, including the Flat Fire in Central Oregon, the Rowena Fire in the Gorge, not far from you. What would you do at the federal level in terms of fire mitigation or response?
Well, first of all, this current administration, I can't even tell you how many times I've been on the radio, the scanner, listening to firefighters saying, we need resources. And the answer is there's nothing left. I mean, that's a terrifying prospect. And when you get these fires that accelerate, and we've got a lot of water scarcity, we have extreme weather events, and things are dried out. It's like a tinderbox. So when you get a fire and you don't have the resources, it just keeps growing. It runs unchecked. So we need to think ahead as far as, fire preparation for individuals and citizens, outreach and education. We need to equip the fire departments with more equipment. And then we need to have the ability to allocate additional financial resources to from the federal level to get planes flying and have retardant drops and water drops. But when you don't have that money there, then the fires just keep burning and people lose their homes.
And we have to end it there. Dawn Rasmussen, thank you for joining Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you.
Next, another challenge to another incumbent as a Republican steps up to challenge Governor Tina Kotek. Businesswoman and Marion County Commissioner Danielle Bethel joins me after the break. We'll be right back.